dictator and I wanted to take over an entire continent or a group of people, there is one thing that I would definitely do, and that would be to attack the new generations that are coming up in your country, particularly your children. And today's video is going to be all about why that is so wrong and trying to put it blatantly obvious in front of y'all's faces so some people, at least a few, will start waking up from this disaster that this country is going in. Listen, if I am being completely honest, I really do not care that some man has decided that it makes him really happy to dress up like a woman and dance pervertedly on a stage. You know what? You do you, boo. All y'all can rock it. But what I do care about is when you start pushing that on literal children, and for some reason, your life is depending on the validation of a child confirming your sexual identity. Personally, I believe that drag shows should have an age minimum, and I think that that minimum should be probably around the age of 18. If you're old enough to go and fight for a country and go die overseas, I think you should be able to go sit in a strip club if you like. But we have to all acknowledge together conclusively that drag shows are adult sexual entertainment, and that's not something that a child needs to see. Why is it so bad that we want to keep children innocent for as long as possible? Isn't it agreeable for all of us to acknowledge that this world isn't exactly the most positive and uplifting place, and a child's innocence and wonder is something that we should do our absolute best as a community to preserve for as long as possible? And a common argument that I've heard many people tell us before is that they're gonna find it anyway, so why not have their parents at least with them at it in person for the first time? Well, to that I would say, when I was 7 years old and growing up, I wasn't exactly interested in finding out what sexuality was. I'm not even sure I truly knew what that was. I knew my brother was a boy and I was a girl, and he played with trucks and I played with Barbies, and we roughhoused outside together with all of our friends and played Nerf battles in the middle of our cul-de-sac. I wasn't exactly concerned with strip clubs and dancing and the different gender fluid identities that exist today. But if I'm being totally honest with you, this completely goes back to the parents, and the parents being the one that need to have these conversations with their children, not drag queens or teachers or random strangers that they don't know. But I am concerned with the fact that these parents see it as acceptable to take their infant toddlers to drag shows and have drag queens doing the most provocative things in front of their faces.
My baby's first drag show.
All right, so let's just talk a little bit about the difference between the adult entertainment world and then a liberal family trying to, expose their children to everything that they deem important for their life and their worldview. This is an adult reading a book to a child.
And I was part of the first few girls who started Drag Queen Story Hour in New York City.
This is an adult sexually exploitating a child. This is an adult playing dress up in front of children.
Story time with Mama G.
This is an adult that's not wearing clothes. This is a grown man channeling his inner Dolly Parton.
This one is called Worm Loves Worm. The hips on the drag queen go swish, swish, swish.
This is a stripper. You have grown adults removing their clothes or not wearing any clothes to begin with for the entertainment of people of age. That's the adult side. All right, and then you got the extreme over here of the liberals who have their drag queen story times. Honestly, I really don't care if they have a drag queen story time. Here's what I just ask though. You're fully dressed. You're not dancing and provocatively and twerking on a toddler. The parents are present in the room. If you want to bring your child to a grown man dressed up like a woman wearing an outrageous wig and probably a Dolly Parton style glittery dress, knock yourself out. But the second that you start going towards the adult entertainment side of things. You start twerking on a child. You start bringing in a little bit more of sexual exploitation and acts on a minor. That's when it crosses the line between exposing your child to different cultures of people and then grooming a child to be a sexual exploitation object for the validation of some weird perverted grooming adult. Okay, before I continue on any further, I would just like to remind everybody that all of my links are down below. Please go and, press all of them and all the buttons that let you know to come watch all of our videos as soon as we get them posted. Let's talk about something that shouldn't be a controversial topic with schools today. Why does my zip code determine where I have to go to school? Because that school is somehow entitled to my tax dollars to help go to their education? Now listen, I am a homeschool kid. I've been homeschooled my entire life with the exception of kindergarten. And I can tell you every benefit that I reaped of being able to learn at my own pace, the way that I learn best with peers my age and some younger and older than me who were at my level that I could help learn off of collectively as a homeschool group. But was I ever allowed to join the public school dance team or join public school sports? Or, Lord forbid, as a theater kid, I wanted to go join the community center's public school theater program. I was never allowed to do that. Why is that? My parents pay taxes. My parents are contributing. Somewhere out there, there's a kid who's benefiting off of my parents' tax dollars, but I wasn't allowed to ever use the extracurricular activities that school was supposedly providing for all of my peers my age. And you might be wondering, how much is our government putting into public schools per head annually for each child K through 12? Well, the average annual cost is $13,185. Now, if we were allowed to take a voucher and go to any school of our choosing, isn't the competition a good thing? Isn't being able to work hard for what you want helping build valuable principles that every kid needs to have? You're not exactly entitled to anything in life, let alone an education, in my opinion. These are things that need to be earned, not bought because your parents are Hollywood elites and you were able to pay off some college scandal to help you get in. And don't give me that utter BS that kids will be suffering if their parents help their children to decide which schools will better help them in their lifelong run for education. Y'all, kids are suffering right now. What logical thinking person decided that, hey, every kid that ever has existed or ever will exist learns the best when they are forced to sit in rows and columns for 8 hours a day, forced to all learn the exact same way by a teacher who does not know their individual ways that their mind works. They're forced to learn the exact same thing, forced to regurgitate the exact same answers, forced to take the tests all the exact same way in order to do what? Do what exactly? Well, if you ask me, it's because we're teaching our children not how to think, but what to think. You are forced to be there. You don't have a choice. You are not allowed to speak unless spoken to. You're not allowed to be an individual. You're not allowed to have an opinion outside your teachers or your principals. And Lord forbid, you want to be an individual and think outside the box or do something a different way? No, no, no. Take math, for example. I swear, we say this as a joke all the time. Math is math. Math doesn't change. But I have friends who get zeros on test scores because they got to the right answer the wrong way. Now, I mean, this education system wasn't exactly meant to prosper any of us, now was it? Well, here's a little tidbit for you guys. It was designed by the Rockefellers. It wasn't designed to create individual sparkling thinkers and the future of the world. It was designed to go send you guys to work off in factories to, prosper the ultra mega rich and the elites. It wasn't designed to make you guys special. Why are they coming after our children so much? Because they would like nothing better than to dehumanize us, turn us against each other, and get us to the point where we are so weak, so self-conscious about ourselves, where they have complete and utter control over what we believe, our emotions, our social media, and including our children. We live in a society today where you're told Mothers, you're not allowed to be mothers. You're supposed to go to work and send your children off to daycare or to school to be raised by other people where they're going to indoctrinate them with whatever that person's believes, whether they acknowledge that or not. And when they come back, if you have the audacity to say anything, you're considered a bigot or a hypocrite or just an awful, terrible, xenophobic person. And then they're sent out into the work world where they will go work for the rich. And you know what? It's very understandable how you could look at that and say, well, this is pointless, okay? What do we do to fix it? They're in power and we're not. This goes to the parents first. You guys have more power than you guys realize. Your school boards, whether they admit it or not, do have some fear of you guys because at the end of the day, when you decide to pull your children out of school and to homeschool them or to pick other schools where they go to, they start sweating because they don't get that money anymore. Children, don't fall for everything an adult tells you just because they're an adult and they're in a position of power or because they have more education than you. The Bible very clearly tells us, Jesus tells us this. He brought all the little children to him and he said, do not let them look down on you just because you are young. There's a reason why they're coming after you and they're trying to indoctrinate and sexualize you because they know that you are the future and you hold the power to turn the tides. For people who aren't parents and aren't necessarily kids, I guess this would be millennials and Gen Z now. Eventually, this country is going to go to us to either, one, stand in between everything that is good and everything that is evil and keep these children innocent and young and pure for as long as we can. It's going to have to be a whole lot of us standing in the way and stopping and giving our opinions and being loud because they do hold the power. They are in charge, but only if we let them. And more importantly in all of that, if we could go back and be one nation under God and find a little bit of morality in there and a little bit of, oh, I don't know, an all right and an all evil, and that, hey, guess what? Right and wrong, that's not a subjective thing, and then that there actually is a black and white to the world, and not everything is in this stupid gray section that our government would like us to be. I think that would definitely help out our case. Just a little bit. But again, this is my own opinion backed up by statistics and facts that me and my team have collected. But why should you listen to me? I'm just a 19-year-old girl from Texas. Here's what you should be doing. Go do the research yourself. Go figure it out by yourself. At the end of the day, I do not care what any of you think. I just care that you guys are actively thinking and, more importantly, critically thinking. And maybe let's pay attention to why they're going after our children so much. I don't know. But remember, question everything. Even me.